Randy, give me a 45-second, summary on hair. She can take that and she can go any direction because it's not a specific topic. It's not a specific question. It's a topic. So she could talk about texture. She could talk about treatment. She could talk about styles. She could talk about hair across genders, hair across ethnicities, hair across cultures, hair by etc. Like, it kind of opens it up. So you can still be able to talk about many different things based on one general topic. You can go whatever direction you want. But again, just remember, as long as it's relevant, as long as it's related, then it's good. You don't necessarily have to go down one path. You can kind of like jump ship and then go to another one, but it's still relevant to the central topic. And then
everything lines up with what you're talking about.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. What about demographics? Okay, so what are demographics?
Goes in line with knowing your audience.
Exactly.
Demographics, it could be age-wise, whether it's male or female, all
gender.
Male. The area you're from, ethnic. The background, little.
Ethnicity.
Yeah, ethnicity.
Right.
So.
Right. Right. And again, like you said, I think the key part about that was knowing that tags into who your audience is. Like you said, age range.
Right.
Like, you want to speak to a set of elementary school students the same way as you would speak to a panel of your peers, so forth.
Can I add something on demographics? It's important, that's absolutely right what you guys are saying. If you don't speak to the demographic you're speaking to, you can offend a group, even if it's a subtle little offense, or maybe it's not a true offense, maybe you just kind of come off as not quite within the realm. Emily and I were just at the Rotary lunch, which was at the Union League. Are you guys familiar with the Rotary Clubs International?
Yes, I heard of it.
Great, long, like an organization that's been around since, it was probably an old organization when my grandfather was in it back in the 40s.
It's like the Mason.
So it's been around forever. They have raised money. It's a service organization. They've raised enough money to eradicate polio in all but 3 countries in the world. They're a fabulous group of business people for years and years and years and years. It was only men, of course, right? The Lions were only men. Like, these service groups of business people used to be only businessmen were in business. So as women started becoming business owners and business leaders, the service groups started slowly letting them come along. Well, as much as I like this group, I caught the subtlety of their old school. You know what I mean? It was still there that women are now included, but still viewed differently. They have some women members, maybe, I'd say in a room of 50 people, and they were mostly high-level business owners, surgeons, doctors, lawyers. It was the wealthier among the business people that go to this particular group, which Emily's smart. That's why we showed up there, because the Academy needs stuff. You go to the audience that has something to give, right? We knew our demographic. We went all buttoned down. We went with a serious presentation. We took the video. I didn't try to be like, cute Janet, make you laugh and love me, because I knew we were in a buttoned down group. But interestingly enough, they were talking about the things they've done recently, and they recently sponsored a Miss Philadelphia pageant, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But let me tell you, some of the men that talked about some of the, and I got to be a judge. Like, Ginny over there got all the girls together to come to the pageant, and she made sure they had their makeup and their dresses and everything so they could look good. I got to be a judge. And I'm thinking to myself, am I back in 1970? But for a minute I was, because that demographic are still really old school when it comes to equalization among men and women. They're just not there. So you need to never be the one that says stuff like that. If you're around an audience, like Emily and I were careful to be okay with how they were, because we were their guest. We made sure not to act like it wasn't okay for them to be as old school as they are.
Sharon Peterson owns the Prince Theater. She's an alumni. That would have been a great idea to introduce. She's a female that's prominent. That has some type of clout, obviously, with them, because that event was called.
Oh, well, not too late to send her a newsletter. So you heard about it. Who did I see? I saw Lorraine on the street and she was telling me who she's inviting over and giving out newsletters. So I just wanted to add that on demographics because I think it's a topic that we go over really, really super quick in class and we don't always necessarily really hit on how important it was. So given I was in a setting just, 20 minutes ago where I realized the demographic was one that I was less comfortable with than usual, and I'm usually pretty comfortable in most groups. I wanted to just, put a little highlight on that. Thanks, Tamara.
No problem. Any other takeaways for demographics before we go into the next one?
You know what, I realize as I hear, it being spoken about, also I realize that you have to do the research on that, as far as the gender, in case I have to go in, on something that is asked of me and I'm unaware of it. I need to do some research before I put myself
Absolutely.
out. I like what you said. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to know? I walked in today and the guy in charge of something, they've got somebody in charge of all their committees, he literally come up to me and he looked at me and he went, you all got yourself all set up over there, you want to go get lunch because, we'll feed our visiting dignitaries, he said sort of dismissively. And then he said, just most of our members are doctors and surgeons, in fact. Just kind of nodded his head. And I looked at him and I said, yes, I know I did a little. I said, we checked, we learned a little bit about your Rotary before we came. He then said to me, what do you know about Rotary International? And I was able to spit off a few statements and then defer to a few names in the King of Prussia Rotary where I've been active as a donor and participant. And then it was like, oh.
Like you're one of us.
Are you in King of Prussia Rotary? No, I'm not, but I actively support their causes and work with the Native people past presidents. Then I was okay.
Oh, so you're not somebody to be messed with. Huh?
Well, I had to. That's right. If I had said I didn't know anything about Rotary, they would have let me do my talk, but they wouldn't. You know what I mean?
You would have been
I
stopped
would
at.
cut that part out of it.
Yeah, it would have been like, are you kidding? This woman is only out for herself. Guess what else I did? They did we need $20 from all of our members we need to raise $1,500 so these surgeons that have volunteered can go do cosmetic surgery on kids in another country, people with cleft palate. They said they had committed to raising $1,500. They said, now that's $20 per member. And we're, last time we announced it, we only have $300 so far. We're going to need everybody to give their $20. Before I left, I reached in my wallet and I walked up to the person in charge and I said, I admire the work you're doing. Here's $20 toward that cleft palate project. They're like, ooh, they ran around and told everybody. Our presenter donated.
Yes, that's how you
Because I want to help them too. That was when we took knowing your demographic to the point we talked about last time of opportunistically working that demographic.
Pixie dust.
Yeah, I left behind pixie dust. I did. And then they approached Emily and said, we want to talk about giving a grant to the schools. How about that?
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just followed them.
Thanks.
Let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
When he had that as a matter of your to the side stance when he first came in and he made that statement, what would have been your initial reaction before quickly fixing words?
My
and
real reaction is my inside that I've learned
Right.
to hide over years of being in the public. My inside was like, oh God, I forgot how chauvinistic these Rotary groups can be. That was my inside thought. My outside was, thank you so much, sir. and you saw how I did it, like this. Demure, do you guys see me demure Janet very often?
No.
But I knew if I was like, well, thank you very much, I hope you're serving beers with lunch, he would have hated me. Right? I couldn't be the big, bold Janet in front of these guys. I had to be demure, ladylike, a appreciative, which I am always appreciative of people, but you get, like, within manners. Yeah, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, I forgot how chauvinistic. Out of 50 people, there are probably 5 women, maybe 6.
10%.
Plus me and Emily. Yeah.
I believe like having, the right type of style and doing what you do, will really actually, help people to take part in what you do and how you present. And style is what you
That's right. That's right. You have to know your audience, and I played it well enough that one of the wealthiest school guys there gave me his card, asked questions, and wants to come. He goes, I want to visit you, and I'm hoping you and I can sit over and talk to each other. I said, I think I can help. Now that's how I know I played it right. Because a few of the women offered to help me, I knew. You know what I mean? Because they're like, here's a business owner woman just like we are, and we're here together, But there's an immediate sisterhood among women in a situation like this one. That same sisterhood would not have been as large if I was in a pure women's group. In a pure women's group, exactly. Yeah. So, but this is just true, guys, and it's everywhere. And it's not right, it's not wrong, it's like there is the opportunity that we talked about last time. By knowing the audience, the opportunity to know where the picture was. That's all it took.
That's swag. That's okay. Okay, so up from demographics, we're now going to talk about our reasons to speak, our reasons to write, to entertain, reasons to speak and write, reasons to entertain, reasons to inform, and reasons to persuade.
That's why we speak or write.
It's kind of rude there, sweet. Yeah.
Before you open your mouth, you're entertaining, informing, or persuading.
And remember, we even condensed that into 2 categories that we talked about earlier, which were to inform, to tell, and to request. Right. So they're pretty much like we kind of took that and put it into the email format. So you've kind of already kind of surfaced on that.
When you guys are doing your group project, pay a lot of attention to, are you entertaining, are you informing, or are you persuading? I think you want to persuade people to follow your tips, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're going to do that by giving them a lot of information.
Yeah.
But if you want them to remember it, you want to present it in a way that's a little bit entertaining.
Visuals.
Yeah? Questions on that? Do you guys think you get it? Are you thinking about all this stuff as you write and work in your group? And is it all in your minds now? I know Lorraine was thinking it when she gave that handout out, that she told me the story on the street this morning. Are you thinking about it when you get ready for your job search? Job search is all about informing and persuading.
Remember we talked about that cover letter? Again.
Inform and persuade, right?
Right, that cover letter is your extended 30-second commercial where it's all about you. You make yourself shine, you make yourself look good. You've given that person a reason to look at your resume.
Yeah.
So again, all those qualities, all those things about you that wouldn't necessarily be given or be able to be perceived in a resume. You definitely want to put in your cover. So again, it's to persuade that person. Hey, pay attention to me. Here's what I can offer to you. Arnetta?
What I'm going to share this. For a minute, it's all coming back to me for a period of time in my life. By me having hearing disability, I couldn't hear for some time. I talked about this earlier. I couldn't hear for some time, and I had to read lips or either just go by discerning what that person might have said. Now that I've gotten my hearing aids because they had not, they had some, but I could not wear them at that time according to my situation. And right about now, all of this is becoming a reality to me when you talk about to inform, to persuade. I might have been doing all of this and have not even realized I was doing it all the time because of my hearing disability.
You might not
And
have.
now that I am, it's almost like catch-up time for me. And I wanted to put that out there because this class made a big difference in my life.
I'm so happy to hear that. Renetta, you came in here like a nice big piece of cake and we just have a little icing on top.
I'm so glad you did. I was like, but now I'm just right there. Lining up. I'm like, all right. That's something to offer you.
It's my favorite class.
All right.
Good.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
No,
No, I'm no more.
What about the sandwich technique, guys?
It's pretty self-explanatory.
So let's explain it again. Because again, if you notice, a lot of these same themes are across content, and how it tends to kind of like you start to see things being resurfaced and re-pointed out and rediscussed over and over again, because everything in a lot of what you do is relevant to one another, and the style in which you do it is relevant. So when we talked about the sandwich technique again, what was that first top part? That first bread is what?
The introduction.
opening.
Purpose. State your purpose. What else? What else falls into that? State your purpose.
Introduction.
The introduction.
No intro.
Your intro. What else?
You see,
The theme. But what are we factoring in?
Who's your audience?
Who's your audience? Right. Right. So that top part of the bread should like be centered on who your audience is. Because again, your audience kind of depicts how your intro is going to be. The intro kind of, everything else is subsequent after that. So after that top layer of bread, then we have all this meat, and like Karen like it says, the meat, the peppers, the sauce, the mayonnaise, everything else, the works. What goes into that part of the sandwich technique?
Your information.
Which
What you
entails,
want them to know.
which went to know, and also part of,
What you want them to do. How do you want them to feel?
right, exactly. Toward the end, how you want them to feel. And then that last layer of bread, that bottom part,
What you want them to do.
your call to action, what you want them to do. Exactly. Any questions on the sandwich
That's
technique?
like reinstatement.
Restating your purpose, exactly. That also falls into it. Okay, guys, good. And last but not least, brainstorming / chunking.
Brainstorming. Always come.
Okay, so let's talk about brainstorming first. Then let's talk about chunking, and let's see how the two correlate, how they both tie in. So when you think about brainstorming based on what we've discussed here in class, what is your concept of it, or what is your takeaway from it? What is its purpose? First of all, what is brainstorming?
Getting all your thoughts together
Thinking what to
in
write.
an orderly fashion.
Get
No, just putting it out.
your head together.
Just putting it all out
Putting it
there.
out there. Just
Right.
jotting down every thought comes into your head.
Everything, you write it down, right?
Putting your head together.
Right. What, again, like that first word or phrase that comes to mind when you think about that word, you write it down. Then I think the next part, what you were saying, comes into play, which is the chunking part. Again, you start to organize your information. You start to put things that are relevant to one another. You start your structure starts to form there. So again, you have the brainstorming part, which is pretty much, laying it all out on the table. Here's all this stuff, like all these things I could possibly think about. Then that chunking part, again, that's where the outlining part comes in. That's where, structuring your information, putting it where things go together.
It's like putting puzzles together.
Right, exactly. Like that's a good way of thinking about it.
It's like putting a puzzle together.
Right. Any thoughts about brainstorming? Any thoughts about chunking?
I'm still a little confused about the brainstorming part and putting, my words getting the concept and understanding of how to actually bring that together. For me, I end up having to go on the internet to try to get some help with it because for me, I'll learn it around there. I'll learn it around the corner. But right about now, I'm just holding on.
Brainstorming is hard for you?
Yes, it's hard for me because I'm dealing with a situation in my mind setting that, say like, I looked over there and I see that paper over there and I'm looking at it and I've been looking at it for some time and I don't know what it is until I get up on it. Having a problem with that, you know, things being set back in my memory.
Oh, okay.
Being set back in my memory, like that could be a fan, and I know it's a fan, but actually in my mindset, I know that is.
Well, in your brainstorm, because like DeMar said, everything goes. Like brainstorming is just dumping it out there. Like if you're brainstorming about what to pack to go see your mother for the weekend, and suddenly you get an idea about ordering a birthday cake, just jot down birthday cake on the edge. Because whatever comes to mind is free game in brainstorming. Brainstorming has no limits, it has no boundaries, it has no dumb ideas. If you are trying to write down fan and you can't think of the word, when you're brainstorming, write down thing that moves the air and just go to the next.
In the corner.
Something that happened. It was stated in a statement. What I forget what they call that little swing net. I knew what they were talking about, but I couldn't write that. I saw it, but I couldn't write it.
Hammock?
A hammock?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a net.
Yes, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't write it down. I saw it, but I couldn't write it.
Well, see, you could jot a little picture when you're brainstorming. Just put something that makes you think about it. I do notice almost everybody writes sentences during brainstorming. That is not
That
what it's intended
brainstorming,
for.
yeah.
It's not supposed to be a sentence. It's supposed to be quick fragments or words.
Our project is brainstorming, you know, to look good, feel better.
Mhm.
And each person on the team has some kind of input on that brainstorming.
Right.
And we as a group, determine how we're gonna set it up.
Yeah, you look
We
at the
did that.
brainstorming and you throw out the stuff you don't like as much and you pick the best.
We did that. As we
We're
came
doing- we're
together
still
as a
doing it.
whole, we did that. But when everybody stepped off, I was just still standing there like, you
Well,
know
see,
what I
that's
mean?
fair.
For me, that's where I'm at.
We can help
But you're
you.
right on point in our group, so you don't have any
Good, I
reservations.
got it.
Yeah, you're learning. But that's the thing, in brainstorming, there are no good, bad, or otherwise. But after you dump all your raw ideas, if you try to make a recipe out of all of that, you're gonna come up with garbage, too much. It's after you dump it all that you go back and it's good to brainstorm and walk away. Walk away for 5 minutes. Leave the room, go to the bathroom, sleep on it. Honestly, when your conscious mind that brainstormed deliberately goes to sleep and stops thinking about whatever you wrote down, the next day, your subconscious is sorting through all that stuff. And when you wake up, you've got clarity.
I did a lot of that. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there is science behind the concept of the term sleep on it. I literally will not make a big decision when all the facts are given to me. I sleep on it. Because I know my subconscious knows more about all of the things in my life than my conscience can keep hold of.
Okay, now that I
So
agree
you
with.
dump, and then the next day you go, oh, this is perfectly obvious what I should do. This morning, I had to give this talk today. I didn't have anything ready. I knew I was going to show the video. I only had 20 minutes. You know, it's not like I don't do this often. But I really wasn't feeling the motivation of what to say like I usually do. So this morning, Mike was getting ready and I was getting my coffee and I said, I just looked at him, I said, tell me what you would say if you were talking to Rotary today. And he just started. He primed my pump. After he had about one sentence out, I'm like, you know, mentally, okay, good enough. But of course I listened to his whole thing because it got my pump going.
Okay.
And then I went ahead and I got my shower, and I did my emails, and I did the things I had to do, made a few calls. As I was ready to walk out the door, honestly, I grabbed a piece of cardboard that I wrote a lot of my talking points on, because then I had let it go. I wrote it down. 3 points, boom, nailed it. I did the brainstorming sheet that you guys do. I talked about it, I got the input, I forgot about it for a while, and then I was able to organize the best 3 things.
When you were on that videotape for the career thing at the OVR,
Mm-hmm.
how did you make it feel?
Have you guys saw that video?
I watched you and it just, you didn't look, I mean, I don't even know if you had it once because it was a long
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
And you just made it fun.
It honestly, I use the techniques I taught you guys every single time I speak. I start by brainstorming. I don't carry the sheet because I have it memorized, but I literally start with the brainstorming sheet. Who's going to be there? How do I want them to feel? What do I want them to do? What do I need to tell them to make them do what I want them to do? That's where I start with the demographics every single time. Who are they? Because I got to hit them where they care. How do I want them to feel about what I'm saying? And if I evoke that feeling, will they do what I want them to do? You know, somebody from that talk, Resources for Human Development, who had some jobs we're interested in, the girl that was there liked my presentation so much she got her big boss to come visit us here. Yeah. Yeah, she got her big boss. He goes, I don't really know why I'm out here visiting you, other than she won't stop talking about the academy. I'm like, okay, good. But see, what I wanted them all to do was want to come hire you folks. Fred got hired from me. You know, like stuff happens. Like I always know what I want, and I use the technique, and then I once I've brainstormed everything I could possibly tell them, well, that's way too much, I could lose them. I'm going to condense it into 3 points, because that's usually what works. I tell them I'm going to tell them 3 points, I cover the 3 points, and then I review the 3 points I told them.
Is that a writing process for you, or is that a thought process more so?
I am better at speaking than writing, but I use the technique for both. I always use it when I speak. And as far as my notes, at break, I'll bring in my sheet from this morning. I write those points. And then I would love to say. But I write the main points, and then I typically, because I know my subject matter, I typically don't have to write it out anymore. For years, I wrote out word for word my speech, and then I would try to memorize it, and then I would condense it into notes. But eventually, if you do something long enough, you can do it without that. Well, a coach of mine, I asked a guy who's a really good public speaker to mentor me, and the first thing he said was, lose the word for word speech that you're trying to present from. He said, trust that your brain will not forget how to use words when you get in front of the audience. He said, just have bullet points. He said, you know your content. But you have to know your content. When you guys are practicing for your group presentation, don't practice the words you'll say about your content. Practice the main points of your content. And then if you have to look down and say, I'm here to say that, capsaicin is the best way to get over back pain. You want to write down capsaicin best for back pain so you don't forget to say it. But you don't have to memorize then all the reasons that you personally know that. Yes.
How long you been doing public speaking?
I never told you guys my first public speaking story, did I?
The one that
I have two. My 5-year-old one?
Were you at the church,
I
or?
told you the 5-year-old one. Okay. So then let me tell you another. I've been doing public speaking. The Sierra Group itself, the main company, will be 21 years old on the 18th of this month.
Nice.
Yeah, so happy birthday to all of us.
Happy
So I've been speaking publicly probably for about 20 years because I avoided it at first, but then I realized I had to. So I went to Toastmasters International to get more confident and to learn how to speak.
Okay. The first time you are on stage, how do you feel?
I felt horrible. I felt horrible. One of my biggest fears was that I would trip going up to the microphone. It was one of my biggest fears. I'm still careful. Today, we had our computer, because we showed a video, and Emily was sitting with me, and like Emily was here, the computer was here, the screen was over there. Emily was here, and I was here. So I whispered to her, when I walk over to the microphone, I want you to walk behind me to the other side, so that when she was getting the video going, she was not in my view, you know? Like, you have to think about all that stuff. Because I was so afraid. This is on proofreading. I know you guys talked about Necessary 9. I have a good reason to do the Necessary 9. You want to know what it is? Oh, did I ever? We always have a one-sheet handout about the company, and we update it all the time so it's current. Well, this was I had maybe been in business 7 years at this point, so I've been doing a fair amount of speaking, but I was still writing my stuff out word for word. We had a handout that I wanted altered a little bit, so Suzanne, who used to work with us, altered it. Michael proofread it, like 2 of our top people, right? Like, it looked good, they put a new picture in. I looked at that handout and I thought, yeah, this nicely describes who our company is. It's got a good looking picture, it's got all the right words. I can't wait to go to this event. Honest to God, guys, this is funny. You heard Catherine had to cancel because of the snowstorm, Catherine McCary. I was covering for Catherine at this event in New Jersey. This was years ago. It's how long I've been friends with her. She was unable to make it from Richmond, Virginia to New Jersey one day, and she called me at the last minute and said, would I cover this big public event for her? So I'm like, sure I will. And we're hurrying up, pulling together a handout, and getting prepped on what to do. So I didn't have a lot of prep time. We had this beautiful handout. I glanced it over. I said to Suzanne, did you proofread it? Did you spell check it? She goes, yeah, Michael and I both spell checked it. It's fine. I never told you guys this part. The opening line said, Janet Fury is a trainer, consultant, disability expertise, and it was supposed to say public speaker. It said public speaker. Now that's horrible.
You're like, how we? Never mind.
I mean, how? So I'm a marketer. So I had gone. There were like 100 people in the room. Now everybody's getting breakfast at the beginning, and I was up on this big podium, which I already told you I was afraid anytime I had to walk up steps. So I was up on the head table with all these other dignitaries, and this presentation at that point in my career was out of my league to be even invited there. But because Catherine had to cancel and she knew I was in the area, I was playing with the big girls and the big boys at this point. So I had gone around at the beginning. I asked one of the people in charge, can I put my stuff in everybody's place setting? She said, yeah, go ahead. So I had gone around to the table and put my literature at all these round tables. Well, I'm up on the stage and I see the organizer walking around. Well, she was at the chair beside me, but not up there. I see her walking around, systematically picking up every piece of my literature.
Oh my God.
Good.
Well, I started getting mad because I didn't know there was a mistake in it. I'm thinking, he told me I could put my literature out here. What's the woman doing taking my literature back? I didn't get up out of bed at 6 o'clock this morning, get on the highway at 6:30, drive all the way to New Jersey to not even market my business. I'm literally sitting there fuming. She's pulling my stuff down. Right? Because I don't know. She comes up, she sits down beside me. Right before she gives her opening remark, she points to the word. And I looked at her. She goes, take a breath. I got your back. I was so lucky.
Yeah.
But I had not done the Necessary 9. And that would have been how humiliating would that have been. As it turned out,
Pubic
That,
speaker.
that
Not-
made the same mistake.
But you spell check is the word.
spell check won't do it.
Alright,
The former statewide director for OVR, good. The former statewide director for OVR, Stephen Nizzuti from Philadelphia, one of the nicest people I've ever known in my life. Love Steve Nizzuti, still keep up with him even though he retired. Spell check made his name nasty. If you type Nazudi, spell check calls it nasty. He goes, I get more letters every day. Dear Mr. Nasty, would you like to visit my program? Dear Mr. Nasty, it was so nice to meet you.
Oh my
He
God.
goes, why don't people read? You can't rely on spell check all the time. Nazudi is nasty. In public can turn itself into other words.
Apparently
So fortunately, that girl had my back, and only she and I knew. And obviously Michael and Suzanne, because I came back to the office and we teed off.
so. Yeah, and I'm sure they were
That is
embarrassed as
so
well.
networking. That book I got, Who Got Your Back, that is so networking. That's how you bring your people together in the relationship. You know, you put yourself out there and you still selling what you got.
That's right. I sell every day.
Woo! I like
You
it like
sell
that.
it every day. And you learn from your mistakes.
You
So
get
that's
what
why I
you
like
want,
to
you
share
know?
mine. You don't have to make the same ones. Create your own embarrassing moments.
Are you looking for the time tomorrow?
Yes.
2:55.
No, I'm just trying to see if this one's still ticking or not.
No, it's not.
That clock has got some serious issues, doesn't it?
That works.
It's no longer on the wall or work. We'll have to work on that.
The second hand is still moving.
So do you guys feel like you need any refresher on any of the aspects that Damar so expertly covered with you?
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Noah? No? Okay.
I think we're chilling.
Wilma? How's it feel? Good. Do you guys feel more confident and ready to write and speak in a business setting?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Okay. After the break, I'm going to tell you now so you can think about it on break. After the break, we're going to do an unusual table topic. And our table topic will be each of you, and we're going to do this for up to 3 minutes. You don't have to go the whole 3, but you can use as much as 3 minutes apiece. The table topic will be, tell me a story of a work-related success in your life. It will start with when I was working at name of company as a name of your prior position. A situation occurred like this. Tell the story. I handled it and resolved it and made it better as follows.
Those exact
You could have been the woman
Yeah.
that saved me by by being attentive enough to her responsibility for the event that she noticed a mistake. It can be anything you want. Everybody has a story of an impact that you made that's worth sharing. So think about your story over break, and then BBC table topic style. You'll start with, tomorrow I'll write it on the board for me because he writes so much better than I am. Start with, when I was working at name of company as a name of job title, a situation occurred, let me tell you about it. And then you'll launch into it. And when you're done, you'll end with, and that's how I added benefit, or that's how I solved that problem, or that's how that's why I'm proud of my work that day. You'll end with a strong statement. Okay? Good. So with that said, we will not, maybe that clock's working again, or maybe.
I just fixed it.
Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah, go.
The second hand moving?
Second hand ain't
Yeah,
moving.
it is. Wow, Mark.
But it's actually 2:58
It's
now.
2:58.
Come back
Don't move.
at, I have 2:56. Exactly what
Yeah,
that
258.
has. Verizon says. Okay, come back at 3:15.
Okay.
Are you? Okay.
Verizon
So,
time.
You gonna get what you gonna say, 'cause I gotta go.
you
Sprint
gotta
says
go.
2:57.
Yeah.
Sprint says 2:57.
No, I gotta do some things,
All right, all right.
right?
Carriers according to the time.
Good.
Show up in an interview 1 minute late and say Sprint says.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm all right. Thank you.
Mom,
I'm thanking. I appreciate it. I'm all right. I had some apples this morning.
that's on you,
So,
and that's gonna take you through the rest of the day?
not the rest of the day. When I get home, the salad.
Yes, what's up with that?
As a plan.
You got something to do, boy, or do you what right now?
Oh, I don't remember that.
That's
where my memory
A situation.
Do you what right now? Huh?
Yeah, the second hand's not working anymore.
Do you what?
Italian sandwich, turkey sandwich.
Situation
Yes, ma'am.
from where downstairs?
Yes, it's
Did you what?
turkey sandwich.
From So
The big eye.
what they want,
Yeah.
you say everything, you can put
Everything on, I
everything.
don't get everything on.
You like olives and all that? So why you say
Because that's what I keep picking up.
every day and then, but, tell me what you want.
No hours, everything no hours.
If I had them put everything on, you take off what you want, right, for a minute.
Yes.
So you go,